P.T. Logan's 5 Minutes of Terror. Twisted, troubling tales to send a chill up your spine.
Bus driver. "Come on, get on," the bus driver said as he leaned out the open door. He had a huge grin on his face, and for a moment, Tammy thought his teeth, hundreds of them, were all sharpened into points. "No thanks, I think I'll walk," Tammy replied. She kept her head down and put one foot in front of the other, expecting the bus to drive off. It didn't. It continued to cruise at the same pace that she was walking. "Hey, I've got one more seat with your name on it," the bus driver urged. Tammy looked over at the leering man and shook her head. "No, I like to walk." The bus driver wouldn't give up. "But you're going to be late for class." "One seat left, Tammy. Get on." The driver waved his arm dramatically. Tammy wondered how the bus driver knew her name, because she'd never seen him before. In fact, she didn't think that there were any buses that went to Edinburgh Elementary. "Last chance, Tammy." This time, when she looked over at the driver, she saw that his teeth really were pointed. Not only that, but his eyes were red. A deep blood red, almost maroon in color. Tammy felt her heart start to race. "I'm gonna walk," she said, her voice trembling. "Get on the bus, Tammy," the bus driver suddenly shouted. He reached for her, and even though they were a good 15 feet apart, the driver's arm seemed to stretch, and the man's long yellow fingernails nearly grabbed her. Tammy jumped back and stumbled on the curb. That made the bus driver laugh. This was no normal laugh either. It was high-pitched and made Tammy's ears hurt. But at last, the driver closed the door and sped off. Tammy glanced up just in time to see the other passengers on the bus. Every single one of them had their hands on the windows as if trying to escape, and their eyes were filled with terror. Tammy hurried to school, heading in the opposite direction that the bus had gone. She was still thinking about the creepy bus driver and the frightened passengers when Megan slapped her on the back. "Hey, Tammy." Tammy jumped. "Hi, Megan," she said softly. Megan, who had been her best friend since kindergarten, knew that something was wrong. "What's going on?" Together, they entered the front doors of Edinburgh Elementary. "This morning, a bus stopped in front of me," Tammy began, "and the driver, this creepy guy with weird teeth, he told me to get on." Megan made a face. "A bus? Like a school bus?" Tammy nodded. "Yeah, a school bus. And the driver, he knew my name." "That is weird," Megan admitted, "because there hasn't been a school bus going to Edinburgh since the accident." Tammy raised an eyebrow. "The accident?" They continued into the school, and the bell rang. The hallway was suddenly packed with kids, and it became more difficult to hear Megan over the crowd. "Yeah, you've never heard about it?" Tammy shook her head. "Well, maybe 10 years ago, before we started in kindergarten, there was a bus coming here every day. The kids, they were apparently real jerks, always yelling at the driver, throwing things. You know, doing all the stuff that bus drivers hate. Anyway, one day, the driver just lost it. Went completely nutso." Megan paused in front of a display case in the hallway. There were some trophies and medals, but in the center was a large picture of a school bus. "He drove off the cliff with all the kids inside." Tammy gasped. "No way." "Yeah, a real tragedy. I can't believe you've never heard this before," Megan continued. "Anyways, that's a picture of the bus, and it was taken the morning before the tragedy." Tammy turned away from her friend and looked at the photo. And then she gasped again and covered her mouth with her hand. It was the same driver, and while he didn't have red eyes or pointed teeth, he was grinning. His hand was even out the open door, and he was beckoning at whoever was taking the picture to enter. And the passengers, they were the same ones she'd seen that morning. The same hands on the glass as if they wanted to escape, and the exact same terrified eyes.
P.T. Logan's 5 Minutes of Terror. Twisted, troubling tales to send a chill up your spine.